Hello guys, welcome back to the crew calling all units. Comparison test number 40. Circuit 8 and 8. That means the 8 and also a last category for the comparison test. The bikes. Now that is gonna be a bit of fun. On the other hand also a bit of challenging because as you know the bikes have been patched. They don't handle that well and we have a twisty mountain track that we use here for the circuit spec test, so we're also gonna go and throw the bikes over that track. That's sort of how it goes. So let's immediately start with contender number 1, the 2015 BMW S1000RR. This was one of the first bikes that we got. The Waltram came out and we had like the Ducati M450, this bike, and then the Ninja, and I think the Diavel or something. The BMW was considered to have better acceleration and better handling. The Kawasaki Ninja H2 had more top speed, bit less handling though. Meanwhile there are new players into town and we'll see. On a twisty track like this, normally the BMW should be better than the Kawasaki, so it's, yeah. It's sort of gonna set the time, I guess, for the bikes here. Play around with the nitro, also with the lean forward key. Sometimes you see these comments, especially from new players. How can you get so much speed out of the bike? I'm only getting this or that. Yeah, of course, because you need to lean forward. You cannot get the maximum top speed out of the bikes if you do not lean forward. Unless you get like some long slipstream or something. I do have one benefit by driving with the keyboard, and that is that I can sort of press the throttle and the brake at the same time, which apparently is a bit harder to do on a controller. That I hear from one of my previous teammates. I can sort of keep the throttle on and then still play around with the brake, and then makes the bike slow down a bit easier and faster than if you go up throttle and brake and go back on the throttle. And benefit of a bike, of course, is that you can it's easier to avoid traffic, yeah, unless you're laying flat like I'm doing now in a corner. Then a car shows up, you cannot immediately correct it. Make it easier to take the corners if you do not lean forward though. So only coming out from this point on, back on the lean forward key, so you sort of have to play around with that. It steers a bit sharper if you go off the lean forward key in the corners. But you get more speed and it accelerates a little faster if you go on it, coming out of the corners. .1. That is the time that is set, and yeah, that's also immediately a marked time as being one of the fastest probably, so we have to look for a contender for the BMW. There are 9 bikes in this category, so I am gonna take 2 of them to the winners category, but we will see. The next one, 2015 Ducati Diavel. In the past we used it for skill tests where we could not use when we couldn't drive the drag cars, like with wheel settings or something. We very often used bikes, and then the Diavel was a pretty good choice. But meanwhile we have bikes with better handling and for a precision skill test or something. It is a bit log and it's starting to rain. That's not a good thing. Definitely not with the bikes. I've noticed that with the street spec KTM 450, which is kinda okay to drive, but if it's raining you cannot drive that bike anymore. Simple as that. So apparently they patched the bikes again, that they are undrivable now in the rain. But this has a pretty wide tire, so should be okay, I guess. But this thing yeah, lacks a bit of everything though. Handling is not as good as the BMW, nor is the acceleration. Probably one of the slowest in acceleration of the bikes. Speed is kinda okay once you get it going, but might take a while before you get there. Here playing around with the throttle, because otherwise you're not gonna make it out of the corner. This is definitely one of those bikes that suffers from the handling patch they did in April 2016. The reason they did that was yeah, pretty obvious. The bikes were a bit too OP. They brought the Wild Run and they brought the bikes, and the bikes were smoking everything. KTM in street, dirt and raid, and then you had BMW or the Ninja in performance and circuit spec. When PvP racing, people showed up with a bike and they just smoked you. And that's all fine, but that was a bit of a problem for especially for those that didn't have the Wild Run. And this game never was pay to win. So they balanced the bikes and patched the handling on the bikes. And with some of them you can barely take a corner now as a result of it. But speed wise some of them are still high top speed contenders, and acceleration wise they are also there. Some of them are the fastest, faster than the cars. So for summits, or if you have a track where you really have like long straights and only a few corners, you still have to consider the bikes occasionally. Also for speed trap events, if you could not reach the top speed on every single camera, you're often gonna end up with the bikes because they have a better acceleration and also a good top speed. But in the sharper corners this bike is not that maneuverable. But because of the wide tire it's pretty solid, so you could do a precision skill test with it or something, but that's it. 339 compared to the 327 on the BMW, I don't think we can call the Diavel a contender. 2015 Ducati Monster 1200S. Now this is a pretty new one. That is the latest that they brought. They announced it somewhere last year. Summer 2016 they announced some sort of summer updates, and the circuit spec for the Ducati Monster was one of those summer updates, but it took them till, I don't know, April or May 2017 before they actually brought the spec. Probably something they forgot about, or because all of the other so-called summer updates were released before the end of the year 2016, so most than likely they forgot about this thing and then thought, oh, we still have to bring that. And so they did, yeah, somewhere halfway in 2017. So in a way it's the latest vehicle that they brought. We already had the Ducati Monster in street and performance, and then they brought a dirt version, and then the last one was this circuit spec. Also this one is a bit hard to maneuver and some real wheel action. Lifts the front wheel every time you hit something or you go off the road a bit. And it might not look as fast, but the acceleration is actually, if I'm not mistaken, the best. 1 mile drag on the bond wheel flat and it beat the BMW, which was the fastest accelerating circuit spec till then. But that's like low gear acceleration, I think, because once you get it going it's not that fast and definitely not as maneuverable either. So what did we do in the Diavel, a 339? Gonna be a bit faster, but yeah, I already hit 2 cars here, so I'm assuming we're gonna end up somewhere on the time of the Diavel again. 330 something maybe. Bit of morning time here, I think, because there are more cars here. 2-3 cars in every corner here now. Hello. Yeah, 4 or 5 seconds you can deduct from this time whatever it's gonna be, because I already hit 3 cars. Or some understeer coming in the corners and such. It took quite a while to wait on the bike to actually get this circuit spec, but 338 hit some cars, so let's say 333, 334, something like that we probably might have done, but yeah, that's still far from the 327 we did in the BMW. 2015 Ducati Panigale R. Let's have a look at that one. This is, no, it's not calling all units bike. For a second I was thinking that, but it sort of came along with calling all units, but everybody can get it. It was the 2016 November Summit Reward. Was an exception. Normally the Summit Rewards you could win 1 car or bike every 2 months, but that was not the case for this one. You could only win it in November, because in December we had the Summit Finale, and there the reward was the Mercedes AMG GT. So it was only available to win related to Wild Run, in that aspect. So at that moment you needed to have Wild Run to win the bike. But then they brought calling all units a few days before that November summit ended. And the result of that was that you had these crate missions that came along with calling all units, and or sort of an update of the game, because even if you do not have calling all units, you can still do the crate missions as a racer. If you have calling all units, you can also do them as police, but did these crate missions, and if you had all the cars like I did at that point, the first thing that was in those crates was this bike. So I actually had the Panigale a couple of days before the summit actually finished. So that's the way to get this bike. And meanwhile I think it's available in the dealers. I'm not 100% sure of that, but in case it is not, you can definitely win it from the crate mission. So do some crate missions if you want to get this thing, if you cannot buy it. But I assume since it's in the crate, it's available for everybody, so it should be available in the dealers as well. Most bikes are available in the dealers, but some of them are locked to under the calling all units. If you go to the bike dealer in St. Louis, you will see that the bikes are there, and if you go in and out, because there are more than, I think there are like 7 or 8 that can go into the garage, but there are more bikes than 7 or 8, so. But sometimes if you go out and you go back in, then you see other bikes. That's sort of how it goes in the dealer things. And I'm pretty sure you can get it there. Of course, you can just go to your headquarters and look on your collection board and click on the bike, and then it will take you to the dealers, and then you will actually see the bike immediately. It's a racer bike, so it's competition for the Bmw 1000, the Kawasaki Panigale, and the KTM 1190. The 1290 of KTM is more of a cruiser bike. That's sort of like competition for the Z1000 and the Ducati Monster, I guess. These are more like real circuit racing bikes. The Panigale and the BMW in 331.7. That's what I thought. It is definitely the best of the Ducatis in circuit spec. So a BMW 327, 331.7 for the Panigale. So far we are taking the BMW and Panigale to the winner's battle. That might change with the 1984 Kawasaki GPZ 900R Ninja, whatever the full name of that thing is. High revving even if it's stationary. GPZ 900R Ninja, yeah, that's the full name. Ooh, hello brakes. Optional brakes, ladies and gentlemen. That already we established in the first corner. Does have to seem pretty good acceleration in combination with some NOS or nitro. But brakes are definitely a problem. Seems okay, seems you sort of can find some sort of a rhythm going through the corner, but that's all fine until a van shows up or something. Or like here a car. Also at times a bit of a strange of a view, like you're sitting next to the bike. Lacks a bit of speed though, I think. General overall speed. And definitely lacks brake power. Braking power! That's what we need on this bike. Once you touch the nitro, this thing is seems like they have some sort of cosmic knots. You touch that thing. I think it's pretty clear to say that the biggest problem of this thing is the brakes. .6, that's like 1/10 faster than the Panigale even. So with a few decent brakes, this thing could actually be competition for the BMW, surprisingly. What do we have here? The 2015 Kawasaki Ninja H2. Highest top speed of the bikes, of all the bikes available. But yeah, top speed is one thing. Acceleration is kinda okay, but there are faster bikes, acceleration wise. The biggest problem is handling. More specifically, the corners. You have to slow down way harder with this thing than with the BMW. And so you can't take the corners as fast. And on a track like this, that's probably gonna be a problem to get to the time of the BMW, but we'll see. Acceleration okay, the brakes are okay. Top speed, yeah, the best of the lot. But yeah, you already see it. Play around with the throttle in the corners or you do not come out of it. And this is a Nitron, which was not the case with the BMW bike, so Night in general it gives faster time because you have less to deal with traffic. Once in a while you see a car and that's it. straight like this, that's where it wins compared to the BMW, I guess, top speed wise, but then you have these corners where you have to play around with the throttle, while on the BMW you can just go full throttle. Let's see. 330.7. It is the second fastest so far, behind the BMW, but that did a 327, so we will see what else shows up, but has a problem in the corners with the handling. But it's definitely usable. I have over 12,000 kilometers on this thing, so mostly used for speed traps because it has the highest top speed available. If there is gonna be competition on this twisty mountain tracks from Kawasaki side, then it's probably gonna have to come from this Kawasaki Z1000 ABS. The best handling bike in the game. You can still take corners with this thing. It just lacks a bit of speed compared to the BMW. But it has the best handling of all the bikes. Although the KTM 1290 is also not that bad, handling wise. But that lacks a bit of everything else, so... You know, if we want to attack the 327 from the BMW, it's probably gonna have to come from this thing. With all the corners, might have a slight advantage. This thing is, yeah, it handles sorta like the bikes did before the April patch. Maybe even a bit more better, but coming close though. Where did this thing come from? Was also a summit reward. I think September? October, September 2016, I think. Holy moly. Oh yeah, why not? Okay, we definitely lost 2 seconds here, if not 3. And we had a pretty smooth run going, so gonna take that crash into consideration though. Let's see what we get here. A 329.8. We will see. At this moment it is the second fastest and we're gonna take 2 winners from the bikes. So, but you have to take in consideration that crash. That's costed me at least 2 seconds, so it was gonna be a 327 as well, I think. Maybe even a 326. But we'll see. 2015 1190 RC8R KTM. That's what we're full name. This is one of those bikes restricted to calling all units, I believe. As far as I know, you cannot get it if you only have the crew or the crew Wildron. Which are the calling all units bike? Let me think. In circuit spec here, that's only gonna be the Ninja 1984, the GPZ 900R, and this 1190 KTM, I think. Looking, the Panigale, no, you can get that from the crates. There were a few others though. Oh yeah, the Indian Chief Dark Horse, that's also calling all units, but that does not have a circuit spec, so. And the Kawasaki KX450 as well. It's more like a motocross bike. Ooh. Seems to understeer a bit, this thing. We saw the Kawasaki GPZ 900 with like not so good brakes. This is probably the bike with the best brakes. And it kinda needs it because the handling itself is not that good. But you really have to be even gentle on the brakes because this thing comes to a standstill in no time. The speed of the Ninja H2, acceleration of the BMW, handling of the Kawasaki Z1000 and the brakes of this thing, then you're probably gonna end up with a pretty damn good bike. But other than that, it goes smoothly around. You just have to be a bit careful in the corners because it's not that sort of more Ninja H2 style. Goes smooth around, but just a bit pulling around with the throttle in the corners or you're not gonna make it. 328.2. That is only 1 second slower than the BMW. So this is probably KTM's best choice. But as I said, we're gonna take in consideration the 329 we did with the Kawasaki, and I crashed into that van there and ended up on the wall. We lost 2-3 seconds there for sure. So that means that this bike will end up on the 3rd place, and it's not gonna go to the winner's bike battle. But it's probably gonna be the one, if you do take one in from KTM side, 1290 Super Duke R ABS. That's the second contender from KTM side, and this thing also has pretty good handling. Not as good as the Kawasaki, but pretty good. But it just lacks a bit of the rest. It lacks a bit of top speed, it lacks a bit of acceleration, and it lacks a bit of braking power. Which is kind of strange, seeing the 1190 has probably the best brakes from the bikes, and then you have the 1290 and it doesn't have that good brakes. Kind of strange. But yeah, strange things happen in these games. The acceleration is also half the time with this bike I'm out of nitro, because you feel like it's not going fast enough, so you're always pressing the nitro, and seems to be okay, but the engine braking that sort of fails you. The brakes itself are kind of okay, but sometimes you play around with the gears as well, so the engine braking, and then yeah, that's not really a pro for this thing. Although the brakes, I don't know. Okay. Completely stuck. Also here, that's gonna cost us a couple of seconds. We'll see if we have to take in consideration. I don't think so. It's too slow going into the corners and coming out, although the handling itself is okay, but sharp corners seems to be a bit of a problem, and that has to do with the braking in my opinion. On these longer corners, that's all not a problem. You can really throw them in there and we'll get through. Hello car again. That also is a problem with this. Going from a right corner to the left corner, back to a right. It has some issues with that. It's hard to put your finger on it what exactly is wrong with this bike, but something with the steering radius or and the braking, or combination of both. It seems to go okay, and then you finish, and then you get a time of 2:38. Although we hit the car there, but even then it was 3:34, 3:35, something like that. If you distract that crash. but that's so we do not have to take that crash in consideration for this bike, that is for sure. So what do we end up with is the first bike that we did, the BMW 327. We have the 1190 KTM 328, and we have the Kawasaki Z1000 329. But we did have a pretty good crash there with the Kawasaki. That's definitely costed us 2-3 seconds, so there was a chance that was gonna be the fastest. So what I'm gonna take to the winners battle is the BMW and the Kawasaki Z1000. That means we will have 11 contenders in the winners battle, and that will be the next video, but that might take a bit longer because I still need to record those. So for the hot hatches we have the Mini Cooper. For the sports cars we have the Nissan Skyline. The supercars we have 3, the Ferrari 458, the Ford GT and the McLaren 12C. For the hypercars they were too slow, so I didn't take one winner from there. Muscle cars, the Dodge Challenger, the retro classic cars, the Ferrari F40 and the Hot Rod Hub 1. Utility, the Chevrolet Silverado. And for the bikes, as we just seen here, the BMW 1000 and the Kawasaki Z1000. Those will be the 11 contenders that I'm gonna throw over the track. It's gonna be this track, or I might make a new track where it had a bit longer straights, that also speed comes into matter for the real winners battle. But we will see. I will see you guys in the next one, and bye for now.